Okay, so this is going to be the shingle portion of the job. This is where your competition is going to spend the most amount of time, and they usually glaze over everything we just talked about. I was just in a house yesterday. I was his 7th estimate, and I was the first person to speak about underlayments. He had no clue.
Wow.
7 estimates in, he didn't even know what ice and water was, or underlayments.
What's ice and water?
So that tells you everything that you need to know, right? Obviously he wasn't listening and they weren't explaining it. And the thing is, when you're speaking to your customer, what I say is meaningless unless you digest that information. The only way to confirm that you're digesting the information I'm giving you is to do what?
Question.
Ask a question. And when you ask a question, you shut up.
Let them digest.
No, listen. You shut up and listen. You let them talk. Because you want to hear what they know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So you're going to get them to spew.
Because if they just sit there and digest doesn't mean that they know, because they haven't confirmed it with you yet.
Right. So the only way I can confirm you understand what I'm talking about is asking a question.
Yes.
Only way I can confirm you agree with me is asking a question. There's a very bad habit most sales reps have, is most don't even ask questions. Second worst habit they have is that they ask a question and then they ask a second question without even letting you finish. Or even talking over you, even worse. Okay? One question, one thought, one completion, then you move on.
Yes.
You need the information to sink in or they're not making any decision, right? That way everybody's on the same page and it's a cleaner install on the back end because you want your customer to truly understand what they're getting and not have any doubts, right? And the only way to do that is to ask questions to make sure we're all on the same page. That's why when you see me in the house, I ask so many questions because I want my customer comfortable. I want them to know that every single aspect of this roof is handled, okay, without taking any chances. So at the end, it's just about affordability, right?
Yes, sir.
Comfortable with me, comfortable with my company. If I can fit it in their budget, there's not a reason in the world they wouldn't want to use me over anybody else, okay? So let's talk about shingles for a second. So in the slideshow, you're going to have a bunch of slides on this. What the slides dive into is a few different categories. Number one, it's going to dive into nails and how many nails per square you're going to have. So most shingles require 6 nails. Some require 8, and then that's going to have to hit a chalk line nailing zone just like this. Why does it have to hit a chalk line nailing zone? The reason for that is on that chalk line, if you take a look, it's a very faint chalk line. You open it up, you can see the sealant right there, okay? Not only is there sealant right there, but there's an upper ply and then a lower ply. And what they do is overlap in the center and then they run a sealant line. So what the chalk line indicates is where you're going to be triple ply. 1 layer of sealant, 2 layer shingle. When and if you hit that chalk line, you're going to seat and seal the nail correctly. When you're using the auto nailers, they're under a lot of pressure. If I miss from triple ply and I go over here where it's single ply, what do you think is going to happen to the nail? It's going to go.
Angle. It's gonna miss. It's
gonna miss, and what else?
It's gonna break
the shingle, right? But guess what? Because it's roofing, I'm just gonna cover it with the next shingle so nobody can see. Okay, and that's how people get beat out of their warranties because they can't see anything's wrong. All they see is the reveal of the shingle, the bottom part that looks nice, right? All the ugly is hidden
by other shingle,
right? So with that being said, moving at a rate of 1,500 to 2,000 nails an hour, and sometimes if you just type in fast roofing shingler on YouTube, and you can just show them a video of the guy going boom, 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 right? Ask the homeowner, at 2,000 nails an hour, how hard do you think it is to hit that line perfectly 6 out of 6 times every shingle?
It's not easy.
Not easy. Now let's take it a step further. So bring me the slides for a second. So with that being said, look at the illustration. This is how close he got. Okay, so you can't really see on that slide. He almost hit the line there. Very, very close. He was just a hair off and he still put a hole in the shingle, okay? So that is how precise you need to be so you don't make a mistake.
It's not easy, frankly.
Very, very hard, okay? On top of that, the nails can't be underdriven, overdriven, or on any type of angle, okay? It is extremely hard to do, and here's why. There's a nailing gun. There's the head of a nailing gun. It's like this big.
Mm-hmm.
That line's small. How do I know I'm hitting it dead center every single time? If the top of a nailing gun was like a little point, I could tell. But I'm just going boom, boom, boom. I'm always guessing. Okay?
Yes.
So, what is shore nail? Shore nail is this fabric strip in the middle where instead of the little chalk line, I go all the way to that 1-inch nailing zone, right? So I can hit anywhere in that fabric compared to that tiny little chalk line. If I were to give crew A this shingle and crew B this shingle and the same amount of time to complete the work, who's going to do a better job in your opinion? Why?
Because of the short nailing strip. It's
Much
a lot easier.
Correct.
Visible.
Easier, visible, correct. Now let me ask you a question. This one's going to take 9,000 nails to do your roof because it's 6 nails of shingle.
Yes.
This one's only 4 nails of shingle or 6,000 nails. I can actually knock 3,000 nails off this job. How much slower do you think the crew can move by not having to put in all those extra nails?
They will be more relaxed. Yes.
So if they're going to do a better job already because it's an easier zone, how much better of a job do you think they can do when they actually can take their time?
A lot better.
A lot better. So at the end result, who do you think is going to give you the best quality install? This one. Now, let's get into why it's only 4 nails instead of 6. Reason for that is all shingles have granules on the top where the sealant bonds and lays down to. So when this roofing sealant bonds and lays down to that granular surface and then ice gets under and it lifts, same thing as the ice and water, what happens?
It's delaminate.
Delaminates.
Delaminate.
Correct. So in this system here, it's completely clean. Granular free.
Yes, sir.
Just like the ice and water, it's sealant on a solid surface, creating a monolithic bond, fusing the system together. It is the cleanest bond in roofing. Right? Pretty amazing, isn't it?
It is.
Now, there's one last thing in this system which is very unique. And what that is this fabric strip is an armor technology designed to catch the head of the nail so it doesn't blow through the shingle like we saw in the other illustration. So what this does is guarantees that every nail that hits counts. Make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Fantastic. So, a couple other things that you do have.
James Lee.
Yes, it is.
Dion.
Hey, Dion, what's going on? How you
I
doing?
heard a lot about you from Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Talking shit, like always.
Only good shit.
So-
Only good shit. Well, I'll catch you back in an hour, right?
Okay, all right, brother.
Nice meeting you.
Hey, you too, brother. So, what happens with this shingle is one other improvement on shingles today is they actually infuse copper granules in the shingle, which eliminate those ugly black streaks that build up. Okay? So, it's going to look good, it's going to stay put, going to be installed right, and it's rated all the way up to 130 miles per hour of wind pressure. Okay? Any reason in the world that you wouldn't want to put this shingle on your home compared to that shingle? So, this is the shingle you want for sure. Great.